Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you're just trying to send an email, a simple everyday task, right? And then a tiny glitch, like a missing accent mark on your keyboard, spirals into one of the most serious cyber attacks your country's ever faced.
Wow.
That's precisely where our deep dive begins today. This wasn't some random, isolated incident. It was uh, deliberate, sophisticated. Part of what you could call a silent digital war that's been escalating for years now.
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is how seemingly small technical issues, or just, one wrong click, can be the tip of a very large, very dangerous iceberg.
Right.
Today, we're not just touching the surface of cyber warfare. We're diving deep into the shadowy world of state-sponsored cyber operations. And specifically, we're focusing on the most notorious players, often referred to as Putin's bears.
Putin's bears.
Yeah. And these aren't just colorful nicknames. They represent deeply entrenched, highly capable, and incredibly aggressive units within Russian intelligence.
And that's our guiding framework for this deep dive, getting into those digital shadows. Our mission today is really to give you a shortcut to understanding this hidden world. A shortcut packed with surprising facts, maybe some aha moments, and practical insights too. We're going to pull back the curtain on exactly who these hackers are, meticulously detail how they operate, and explore the far-reaching implications of what they do.
Yeah, implications for global democracy, national security. I mean, even our everyday lives. It touches everything.
Exactly. So here's where it gets really interesting.
Mm.
We're talking about a cast of characters with names right out of a spy novel. Fancy Bear, Lazy Bear, Berserker Bear, Voodoo Bear, Toxic Bear.
Sound like a spy novel.
Doesn't it? But these aren't whimsical monikers the hackers dreamt up themselves. They're the metaphorical nicknames given by, like, Western intelligence and cybersecurity firms to these specialized units of Russian intelligence services.
Right. You can think of them as different divisions, maybe, of a single formidable cyber army. Each one has its own focus, its own preferred methods, but they're all comprised of some of the most dangerous and relentless hackers out there.
Okay.
Indeed. And while each of these bears has distinct objectives, sometimes they overlap. Whether it's meticulous intelligence gathering, or maybe publicly exposing sensitive info, or just wreaking havoc, disrupting critical infrastructure. They all share one critical unifying trait: their extreme dangerousness and their direct link to the Russian state. Their operations, they go far beyond just disrupting computers or networks.
Right.
They are, in essence, a direct and persistent threat to Western democracies. They serve as potent tools of destabilization, psychological warfare, political manipulation.
So information warfare, basically.
Exactly. It's a modern form of information warfare where the battlefield is increasingly digital and the targets are often, well, the very foundations of democratic societies.
And their past targets really show this reach, don't they?
Absolutely. Their reach and ambition, I mean, from infiltrating the German parliament, getting into the email inboxes of elected officials, to throwing their full weight behind Donald Trump's 2016 campaign and playing a key, really devastating role for years in Russia's brutal war against Ukraine.
It's not just about stealing secrets, then.
No, not at all. It's about shaping reality, eroding trust, exerting influence on a truly global scale.
Okay, so let's dig into the first major case study then, the one that really illuminated how insidious these operations can be and kind of forced the West to confront this new type of silent invasion.
Right.
The 2015 attack on the German parliament, the Bundestag. And it all started with something so mundane, so seemingly harmless, like a misplaced accent mark on a Friday afternoon.
It's almost unbelievable when you think about it.
So picture this. Claudia Height, she's an assistant to a member of the Bundestag, Germany's parliament. It's May 8th, 2015. Warm Friday, spring, weekend's almost there. She's trying to draft an email, but suddenly the accent mark on the U character, like in Bureau or München, it just won't work.
Weird.
Yeah, seems strange. She tries the usual stuff. Closing word, opening it again, rebooting the whole PC. Nothing. Nada.
Right.
Now, the Bundestag, like any big place, has its own internal IT hotline, 117. So she calls, explains this peculiar issue, and she even kind of ventures a guess, say maybe her PC is infected, like with a Trojan or something.
Okay, so she suspected something wasn't right.
She did, but at this point, the IT guys are pretty dismissive. They tell her, it's probably just a software bug, routine stuff. Nobody, not even Claudia, realizes how truly serious this is, because Claudia had indeed been hacked. But it wasn't just her computer. While she was still on the phone with that hotline, the digital invaders were already deep, deep inside the Bundestag systems.
Oh, wow.
Putin's bears were basically running wild right through the heart of Germany's political system, and nobody even knew it yet.
This incident really highlights a critical vulnerability, doesn't it? That human element, the initial dismissal of seemingly minor glitches.
Yeah.
And the hackers behind this, Fancy Bear, they're known for meticulous planning. So 8 days earlier, April 30th, 2015, dozens of MPs and their staffs, including Claudia, got this highly convincing spear phishing email.
Spear phishing, so targeted specifically at them.
Exactly. What made it so effective wasn't just its polished look it pretended to be from the United Nations, but its subject line referenced Ukraine's economic situation.
Ah, very topical then.
Extremely. This was just a year after the annexation of Crimea. Military operations were already happening in eastern Ukraine. So the situation there was a red-hot, urgent political issue.
Makes sense people would click.
Absolutely. It made the email instantly relevant, compelling. There was a strong incentive to stay informed, click that link. And Claudia, like many others, did just that.
And that one click.
That single click was all it took. Malware, silently, no pop-ups, no warnings, just installed itself in the background. Completely silent infection, a ghost in the machine. And from that moment, the hackers had their foothold inside the network.
And once they were inside, their goal was clear.
Yeah.
Get administrator rights.
The holy grail.
Yeah, the digital equivalent of master keys, right?
Yeah.
Gives them access to everything, the power to change anything, steal anything without being seen.
And they got him.
They did. They didn't just breach one computer. They managed to infiltrate areas that should have been totally off limits, protected by multiple security layers. This wasn't a quick smash and grab. It was sophisticated, patient. They used those admin privileges to move laterally, meaning they didn't stay stuck on Claudia's machine. They jumped from computer to computer inside the network, systematically scanning for valuable stuff, documents, emails, internal reports, anything useful.
Mapping the network, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Their journey took them deeper and deeper until they'd essentially taken over huge parts of the Bundestag's IT infrastructure.
Yeah.
And eventually, their path led them to 2 machines inside a parliamentary office of the Conservatives.
Okay.
And not just any office, Angela Merkel's, the German chancellor at the time. They accessed not only her office machine, but even her personal machine and her inbox.
Wow. Straight to the top.
Yeah, this was not random.
Yeah.
It was calculated, deliberate infiltration aimed squarely at the highest levels of German politics.
What's truly astonishing here, looking back, is how long such a profound attack went unnoticed, despite its severity.
Right.
After Claudia's first call, she was frustrated, called again. Even the second person she spoke to didn't grasp how serious this little accent mark issue was. Eventually, she just shut down her PC, went home for the weekend.
And the hackers are still in there.
Still in there. On Monday morning, an IT staffer remotely reinstalled Word, which of course did nothing. Because the problem wasn't the software, it was this deep infection. It wasn't until someone physically came to look, a more experienced IT pro, that they finally started suspecting something deeper.
And by then?
By then, Fancy Bear had been inside the system for at least 2 weeks. Still almost completely undetected, just meticulously pulling out data.
So how did they finally figure it out?
Well, the true scale of the breach actually came to light from an outside source, surprisingly. Miles away, in the UK, a cybersecurity firm known for tracking these state threats.
Okay.
They'd been monitoring a suspicious foreign server. The server was already known, had a history in cyber attacks. One day they noticed something alarming. That very server connects to machines deep inside the Bundestag network.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. The firm immediately recognized the gravity, alerted the German Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution. A day later, the warning finally reaches both the Bundestag's Classified Info Office and the Federal Office for Information Security, the BSI, in Bonn.
Finally getting to the right people.
Well, almost. This is where, administrative channels, bureaucracy maybe, added a delay. That urgent warning took a brisk 3 full days to actually land with the people who could understand its huge implications.
3 days, while the hackers are still potentially active.
Exactly. But once that warning finally landed on the right desks, you can imagine the wave of realization hitting the BSI. Someone finally got the horrifying scope of what was happening.
So scramble the jets.
Pretty much. The BSI quickly dispatched a special team to Berlin. Urgent mission, comb through the logs, those automatic records on computers, tracking every action. Their job, figure out the 3 things. 1, major attack. The log screamed yes.
Okay.
2, what were they after? The activity strongly suggested massive data theft. 3, and this is the terrifying part, were they still inside? The logs confirmed. They were very much still present, still active, still stealing. The team didn't hesitate. Recognizing the ongoing threat, the depth of the infiltration, they took the drastic step. Shut down the entire Bundestag network from the outside. Literally, like someone just ripped the plug out of the wall on the whole German parliament.
Wow. Total shutdown.
Total shutdown.
And cue the chaos, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. Claudia watched her computer just power off, inexplicably. That same day, Der Spiegel, the big German news magazine, broke the story. First media outlet reporting this unprecedented cyber attack.
So lawmakers found out from the news.
Many did, yeah. Not from internal briefings. Suddenly, the heart of German governance is in disarray. No emails, no critical documents, no reports. And this isn't like a movie where you just kick the hackers out and reboot.
No quick fix.
Not at all. The Bundestag network was giant, complex, messy, incredibly hard to control. The response team had to fight their way through it, trying to stop more data theft, wrest back control. It took weeks, even months, to meticulously clean the system, ensure every back door was closed.
What did people do in the meantime?
During that time, MPs and staff could only use certain isolated parts of the network. And for important, sensitive notes, lawmakers actually resorted to writing them down by hand again.
Handwritten notes. Back to basics.
A jarring step back, just for security. The Bundestag's IT security was clearly overwhelmed, faced intense criticism afterwards for being unprepared.
Okay, so the cleanup is happening. What about finding the culprits?
When the dust settled a bit, the painstaking investigation began, and the trail pointed directly to Russia. On Claudia Height's computer and many others, they found this specific malware, X-Tunnel.
X-Tunnel. Sounds ominous.
It functions exactly like the name suggests. Creates a covert, direct, continuous link, a persistent tunnel, allowing attackers access whenever they wanted, bypassing normal security for long-term presence.
Okay.
Inside the code of this X-Tunnel, forensic analysts found connections to a server believed to be used by a group known as APT-28.
APT. Advanced Persistent Threat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the label for hacker groups that are not only highly skilled, but also incredibly patient, well-resourced. The kind who don't just strike and vanish, they stay embedded, sometimes for years, gathering info.
And APT-28 is?
By all accounts, APT-28 is a Russian state-sponsored group. Also goes by another, more famous name. Fancy Bear.
Fancy Bear again.
Fancy Bear again. Operating under the GRU, Russia's military intelligence service. Notorious group, known for audacious operations, stopping at nothing, not even the chancellor's computer.
Right, Merkel's office. And ironically, that's where they slipped up, wasn't it?
It was, almost comical in a way. They broke into a computer in Merkel's outer office, got access to her personal machine, her inbox, exactly what they wanted, her emails, packed with sensitive political stuff. One of the Fancy Bear hackers even wrote a custom program malware named VSC.exe, specifically to copy her Outlook inbox and send it out. But there was a problem, a very German problem. While coding this tool, they made a mistake. To find the email files, VSC.exe needed a specific file path, and that path, being German, included the German words ababu.
Okay.
The program, however, didn't recognize the German U character in that path. It just showed up, garbled, a digital hiccup. The whole sophisticated operation stumbled momentarily over German louts.
You couldn't make it up.
Right. Realizing the attack might get exposed or fail, they panicked a bit. Under pressure, they quickly rewrote the code, this time explicitly telling the program, expect German, expect that ooh, try it again. This time, it worked. Copied Merkel's inbox, sent it out.
Success, but...
But despite stealing the emails, they made a critical error in their haste, maybe the rush, maybe nervousness. In the code of that VSC.exe program, investigators later found a tiny critical detail.
What was it?
The hacker forgot to delete the name of the computer he was working on while compiling the program. The file path embedded in the malware read quite plainly, see users Scaramouche.
Scaramouche?
Yeah.
Like the Queen song.
Or the Italian comedy character, yeah. It became the hacker's alias, his handle. And that seemingly tiny slip became gold for investigators. Scaramouche and his team immediately became high-priority targets for German and international intel agencies.
Yeah.
German federal prosecutors quickly opened an investigation for espionage, and Angela Merkel herself, later, in a rare public statement, called it an act of hybrid warfare, signaling its huge strategic implications.
So what's the takeaway here?
Well, it shows that even the most sophisticated state-backed hackers can make human errors. Those tiny slips of forgotten username and unrecognized character can leave a crucial trail that eventually leads to unmasking them.
And the data stolen, 16 gigabytes, you said.
Around 16 gigabytes, yeah. Believed to be stolen from the Bundestag network. No one knows the precise contents or volume for sure. 16 gigabyte might not sound huge now, but for sensitive internal political emails. It's a staggering amount of valuable, potentially compromising information, far more than just an old USB stick, as some tried to dismiss it initially.
So this operation focused on stealing data, espionage. It was really just a prelude, wasn't it?
In hindsight, absolutely. If they stole some files, what could they really do with that? The world was about to find out.
Yeah. Then came the U.S. presidential election in 2016, and Putin's bears showed what they were truly capable of, the lines they'd cross, and just how much chaos a few gigabytes of strategically leaked data could unleash on a superpower.
A completely different ballgame.
Shifting focus now to the U.S., we'll see how Putin's bears dramatically ramp things up, moving from stealthy spying to overt interference in a presidential election. A campaign that would unleash, well, unprecedented chaos and really redefine modern political warfare. It all kicks off mid-2015. Brash real estate mogul Donald Trump announces he's running for president. At first, nobody in D.C. or the media takes him seriously.
Right. He was seen as a novelty act, mostly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But because he's so different, so unfiltered, saying things nobody else would dare, the media can't stop talking about him. His outrageous statements, Mexico will pay for the wall, I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody.
Unbelievable stuff.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. Public outrage, disbelief, but also, surprisingly, widespread support grows with each headline. By early 2016, Trump's not the oddball anymore. He's the undeniable Republican frontrunner, heading for a clash with the seasoned Democrat Hillary Clinton.
And half a world away in the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin is watching all this very closely. He had a deep, enduring dislike for Hillary Clinton. It wasn't hidden.
They had history.
They did. Back in 2011, when Clinton was Secretary of State, Russia had parliamentary elections. She publicly questioned if the vote was rigged, a direct challenge to the Kremlin, which fueled massive protests across Russia.
Putin didn't like that.
Not one bit. He accused the U.S. of stirring up those protests, never forgave her for what he saw as direct interference. Politically, she'd been one of his toughest opponents globally. And it's worth noting, the European Court of Human Rights later did confirm that the 2011 Russian election was manipulated.
Interesting.
So given this history, Putin was clearly rooting for the other guy. The loud billionaire Trump, who had repeatedly praised Putin, saw him as strong, someone he thought he could get along with. With this preference, Putin consulted his intel agencies, GRU, SVR, FSB, and made a pivotal decision to actively interfere in the U.S. election.
And that decision started playing out on March 19th, 2016. An email lands in John Podesta's inbox, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, central figure.
Right.
Looks exactly like a Google security alert. Suspicious activity, reset your password immediately. Podesta, being careful, checks with the DNC IT staffer at Democratic National Committee just to be sure.
Smart move, usually.
Usually, unfortunately, the staffer, maybe distracted, maybe rushed, replies that the email is legit, when he actually meant the opposite. It was illegitimate.
Oh no, a
Yeah.
typo with huge consequences.
Massive. Podesta assumes it's safe, clicks the link, enters his login details on what looks like Google, but it's actually a perfect fake site run by the hackers.
And they're in.
That was it. They were in. Fancy bear again.
Ye-
Same GRU group from the Bundestag hack. Now they have unfettered access to Podesta's entire digital life.
Yeah.
Internal communications, emails, schedule, everything campaign-related.
Yeah.
They ultimately steal a staggering 50,000 of his emails.
50,000 just from him.
Just from him.
Yeah.
This spear phishing, it's so effective because it's tailored, specific, hard to spot. Using the same approach, Fancy Bear targets 300 more people in Clinton's campaign, unknown how many fell for it.
Wow.
Early April, weeks after Podesta, they hit another key target. The DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee.
Yeah.
More convincing emails, technical exploits. They steal credentials from at least one DCCC employee.
And
Again,
they're just walking through the doors.
pretty much.
Hmm.
Once inside, Fancy Bear uses two main malware types, X-Agent, a versatile backdoor, and X-Tunnel, same tool from Berlin, creating those persistent, covert links.
Right.
While digging through the DCCC, they find something even better. Credentials, letting them slip right into the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, the heart of the party.
The main prize.
Exactly. There they uncovered detailed campaign strategy docs, donor lists, opposition research, And critically, a damaging file on Donald Trump himself, full of potentially harmful info.
What's truly astonishing here, and really speaks to the complexity of intelligence work, is that Fancy Bear wasn't even alone in there.
What do you mean?
Unbeknownst to Fancy Bear, another set of Russian hackers, Cozy Bear, most likely SVR, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service had actually been inside the Democrats' network since June 2015.
A full year longer.
A full year longer. Cozy Bear is known for being quiet, methodical, patient. They target governments, think tanks, political groups, often without leaving much trace.
So 2 different Russian groups were inside the DNC at the same time and didn't know about each other.
It seems so. And here's a truly surprising twist. Back in 2014, Dutch intelligence, the MIVD, pulled off an incredible counter-hack. They got access to surveillance cameras inside the building where Cozy Bear operates, like in their coffee room and computer ops center.
They were watching the hackers.
Literally watching the hackers at work, observing their screens, activities in real time. This unprecedented access let the MIVD see in detail that Cozy Bear was crawling through the DNC systems.
So the Dutch warned the Americans.
They did. The AIVD, Dutch intelligence, warned their U.S. counterparts early on. That warning reached the FBI by September 2015. An agent in D.C. called the DNC, told them Russian hackers were inside.
Okay, so alarm bells.
Tragically, no. The warning went nowhere. Landed with lower-level IT staff who maybe were overwhelmed, maybe didn't believe it without proof, basically ignored it. Senior DNC leadership later claimed they didn't even know, a huge point of contention.
So the hackers could have been caught much earlier.
Much, much earlier. If anyone had looked closer, elevated the warning. If they'd found Cozy Bear, they likely would have seen Fancy Bear too. The summer of 2016 might have been very different. Those devastating leaks might have been averted.
But they weren't. Back to spring 2016. Fancy Bear has the data. What next?
Next phase. Massive leak and destabilization campaign. They launch a website, dsx.com. Starting in June, they drop bombshell after bombshell, stolen DNC documents, emails.
How do they cover their tracks?
To hide the state sponsorship, create plausible deniability, they invented a fake online identity, Guccifer 2.0, supposedly a Romanian lone wolf hacker.
Guccifer 2.0.
Yeah, Guccifer got a blog, reached out to journalists, selectively offered up stolen files. The DNC hack dominated headlines, became breaking news, media firestorm. Suddenly, internal Democratic Party dirt, private rumors, backroom deals, internal tensions, unflattering discussions, all out in the open.
And a huge blow to Clinton.
Crippling. Emails seem to show the DNC favoring Clinton over Bernie Sanders in the primaries when they should have been neutral. Stuff about her Wall Street speeches, alleged anti-Catholic bias among staffers.
And Trump?
Trump, ever the opportunist, jumped right on it. At a rally, he famously says, "Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing."
He actually said that.
He did. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press. Clinton was already under pressure over her private email server. The FBI confirmed she deleted private emails from it, fueling suspicion she was hiding something. Trump strategically tied that existing controversy to the new leaks, amplifying suspicion.
Timing.
Perfect timing. That very same day, Fancy Bear, sensing the moment, sent 76 more spear phishing emails to Clinton's staff, capitalizing on the frenzy.
The cumulative impact must have been huge.
Profound. While it's almost impossible to measure exactly how much influence the hacks and disinformation had, or if they definitively tipped the election, many experts, like political comms scholar Kathleen Hall Jamieson, agree they had a significant, measurable impact.
So Russia did successfully interfere.
To a considerable extent, yes. What started as chaos from leaks turned into something more focused, a clear attempt to help Trump. Just over a month before Election Day, the hackers delivered the biggest payload. Podesta's entire 50,000 email archive given to WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks.
Then, week after week, those emails were strategically released, timed for maximum damage. Some more dramatic than others, but all grabbing headlines, fueling negative narratives. The constant drip, drip, drip of leaks created this lasting public impression that something shady was happening inside the Democratic Party.
And Clinton's campaign.
Lost momentum. Crucially, she had to shift her message away from policy, constantly defend herself against the accusations in the press, against Trump in debates, bleeding valuable campaign time and energy.
And it wasn't just the hacking, was it? There was more.
No, Fancy Bear's operations were seamlessly supported by this vast digital army of trolls, operating out of a building in St. Petersburg, a notorious disinformation hub.
The troll farm.
Exactly. These state-sponsored operatives flooded social media with manipulated content, fake news, polarizing posts, amplifying the leaks, sowing discord. Some even organized real-life protests in U.S. cities, recruiting unsuspecting people through fake online groups.
Wow, it's a whole ecosystem.
It is. This whole thing is widely seen as the most effective hack-and-leak operation ever pulled off. First, steal the data, then release it strategically via proxies, finally, fan the flames of chaos and division across the information landscape.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, state spying isn't new, right?
Not at all. Espionage is as old as nations. But taking that intel and deliberately throwing it into the public sphere, weaponizing it to intentionally sway a foreign election, that's something else entirely.
It raises huge questions.
It really does. What does this mean for the future of democracy itself? If hackers can easily get internal political data, release it at the most damaging moment, shape public opinion through orchestrated campaigns, it profoundly impacts the integrity, the perceived legitimacy of democratic processes everywhere.
It's destabilizing.
Exactly. When a foreign power can overtly mess with the core of another country's democracy, that's not just hacking anymore. It's systemic destabilization, part of a pattern designed to erode public trust in democratic institutions, ultimately weakening open societies.
And democracies are vulnerable.
By their nature, yes. Openness and transparency make them targets. An authoritarian regime can flood the internet with bots, fake accounts, leaks, then just watch as the open society fragments, turns on itself, gets gridlocked. Meanwhile, inside the authoritarian regime, nothing wobbles. Dissent is crushed. Control maintained.
When did the U.S. fully grasp what had happened?
Only really after the election. The CIA, FBI, NSA compiled findings in a highly classified report early 2017, unequivocally blaming Russia. A redacted version was released, and one sentence was especially alarming, a dire warning. We assess that Moscow will apply lessons learned from its campaign aimed at the U.S. presidential election to future influence efforts worldwide.
A global warning.
Absolutely. The sheer aggression, sophistication, brazenness, especially in the U.S., opened eyes globally. People realized this wasn't just spying, it was sabotage.
And Germany got nervous.
Alarm bells rang loud. Federal election coming in 2017.
Okay.
Then, ominously, a new website pops up. btleaks.com. DT like Bundestag. Just like dwillix.com in the U.S. Suddenly, German political circles, security services, everyone's on edge. Variations like btleaks.org appear. Someone is clearly registering these sites with malicious intent. Palpable panic started setting in. Was Germany next?
So Merkel confronted Putin.
Early May 2017, amidst this tension, Merkel travels to Russia, first time since the Bundestag hack. Meets Putin in Sochi. Intense diplomatic confrontation. She directly confronts him about the cyber attacks.
What did Putin say?
Typical dismissiveness. Insisted Russia never interferes. Merkel, however, replied firmly, pointedly. I assume that German parties will handle their election campaigns among themselves.
A clear warning. Stay out.
Exactly. And in the end, surprisingly, the 2017 German election wasn't rocked by major leaks or interference. Maybe Merkel's warning worked. Maybe German vigilance increased. Maybe Russian priorities shifted. We don't know for sure.
And the 16 GB from the Bundestag hack.
Still unknown, never been a single public leak directly tied to that specific data trove. But maybe it was used quietly, tactically, for intel, future leverage, not public exposure.
Meanwhile, the hunt for Scaramouche
Continued relentlessly. It took a while longer to confirm his identity, but his colleagues weren't so lucky staying anonymous.
Okay, so let's transition now from the purely digital code, phishing emails, to a surprising physical dimension. This bizarre incident in the Netherlands that brought these covert activities right out into the open.
Yeah, this one is really something. Boots on the ground cyber warfare.
April 10th, 2018. Commercial flight from Moscow lands at Schiphol Airport, Netherlands. Among the passengers, 4 Russian men. Alexei Minin, Alexei Sutnikov, Yevgeny Serebryakov, Alexei Morinets.
Just look like business travelers.
Pretty much. Minin and Sutnikov, 40s, cheerful, unassuming. 2 younger guys, Serebryakov and Morinets. Passports say they're diplomats, official Russian documents. Sharply dressed guy from the Russian embassy meets them, escorts them out.
They're not diplomats.
Not diplomats. Highly trained GRU operatives. Fancy Bear again, APT-28, tasked with covert foreign ops. Minin and Sutnikov handle recon, logistics. Serebryakov and Morinets are the tech guys, the hackers.
Okay, what's their target?
They rent a small car, drive to The Hague, stop at an electronics store, buy a heavy-duty 12-volt battery charger, check into a hotel. Next day, Minin goes straight to the OPCW organization for the prohibition of chemical weapons. OPCW, very sensitive. Critical international body investigates chemical weapons use, checks compliance, and the OPCW had just finalized its report on a huge case. The poisoning of Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia in Salisbury, UK, Novichok nerve agent, developed in Russia. OPCW report confirmed the UK findings, implicating Russia.
So they wanted to interfere with that report.
Minin diligently scouts the site, photographed the OPCW building, the Marriott Hotel next door, notes how close they are. 2 days later, April 13th, they plan to strike. Time short, objective likely. Steal or undermine the Skripal findings, maybe discredit the OPCW through a damaging leak, create confusion, doubt.
They didn't know they were being watched.
Exactly what makes this story captivating. They are under continuous surveillance by Dutch military intelligence, the MIVD, from the moment they landed.
How did the Dutch know?
MIVD got credible intel that APT-28 members were flying in, likely tipped off by British intelligence, who obviously wanted to protect the OPCW findings after Skripal.
Makes sense.
So April 13th, the operation begins. The 4 men drive their rented car to the Marriott, park strategically close to the OPCW building, rear-facing the compound. Trunks packed with specialized gear.
What kind of gear?
Heavy-duty battery, voltage regulator powering a sophisticated computer, connected to a laptop in the front seat. Srebryakov and Morinets run the hack from there. Key component: a flat-panel Wi-Fi antenna, hidden under a jacket.
To do what?
Designed to mimic the OPCW's real Wi-Fi network. Create a fake evil twin network. Hope was, devices inside the OPCW phones, laptops would auto-connect to what they thought was the legit network.
And then steal credentials.
Exactly. Intercept and steal logins, allowing them to slip into the OPCW network remotely, or at least get valuable info about its layout and security. But they didn't get that far.
Nope. Just as they were setting up, Dutch authorities, fully aware, moved in. 2 unmarked vehicles roll onto the Marriott parking lot. Sudden, decisive action. Doors fly open, 4 men swiftly taken down, apprehended before completing the mission.
Any resistance?
In the scuffle, one frantically tried to destroy his phone, kicking it repeatedly, failed. Then the search. Plastic bag of hotel trash, beer cans, wrappers, receipts, almost amateurish attempt to cover tracks.
Anything else?
Large sums of cash, 20,000 euros, $20,000 in crisp sequential bills. Suggests state funding. Most incriminating. A crumpled taxi receipt in Morinet's bag, meticulously documenting a ride from the GRU barracks in Moscow directly to the airport on departure day.
Wow. Smoking gun.
Pretty much. And their digital devices told an even bigger story. One phone, bought day before the trip, first pinged a cell tower right next to GRU HQ, confirmed their origin,
Their tops.
revealed a broader mission trail. Links Srebryakov to past ops. He was in Lausanne, 2016, likely targeting WOT, World Anti-Doping Agency, after Russia's Olympic doping scandal. December 2017, he was in Kuala Lumpur. Reportedly tried hacking Malaysian police, who were investigating the MH17 plane crash brought down by a Russian missile over Ukraine.
A pattern emerges.
Clearly. And they weren't stopping at OPCW, had train tickets to Bern, Switzerland. Next target likely, the Spies Lab, highly secure facility, also analyzing Novichok samples from Skripal. A clear pattern of targeting inconvenient truths.
This raises that fascinating question. Why get physically close? Why not just hack remotely?
Right. Sometimes sending phishing emails or distant attacks isn't enough. You might need to know the physical network layout, wireless security, even observe people, routines, vulnerabilities to craft better exploits. Crucial for bypassing highly secured, air-gapped networks or implanting physical devices.
The cleaning crew.
That's the nickname German journalists gave them, because they often showed up after something major went wrong for Russia. Skripal, MH17, trying to clean up the narrative, discredit findings.
And the Dutch went public. That's unusual.
Highly unusual for intelligence agencies. But this was a major, undeniable win. The MIVD held a very public press conference, showcased the seized equipment, the incriminating evidence, deliberate strategic choice, expose Russia's brazenness, send a strong deterrent message.
What happened to the 4 men?
Eventually released, sent back to Russia 5 months later. Likely complex diplomatic reasons, avoiding direct arrests. Their mistakes, the taxi receipt, the phone seemed almost amateurish for a state offer. Why keep the receipt?
Yeah, why?
Well, they aren't mythical hooded figures in cyberspace. They're civil servants in a way. Hackers on a schedule, assigned tasks, maybe bad coffee, strict rules, like any bureaucracy. They just happen to work for an authoritarian regime and weaponize code. Russia, predictably, denied everything, claimed they were just on a routine diplomatic trip.
Right. With a trunk full of hacking gear.
Exactly. Nothing screams routine like that.
But the crucial takeaway here, this weird hotel parking lot thing, showed Putin's bears can be stopped. They're not infallible.
That's a really important point.
Germany fended off an NGO attack, believed to be Fancy Bear, before their 2017 election. Macron's 2017 campaign in France successfully defended against a similar email leak attempt, learning from the U.S. experience.
Building resilience.
And in the U.S., the response to the election interference came loud and clear: tangible accountability. 2018, U.S. Department of Justice sends an unequivocal message. February, DOJ indicts 13 Russian nationals, 3 Russian companies for interfering in the election.
Beaming names.
Not long after, another sweeping indictment specifically targeting Fancy Bear operatives. FBI detailed exactly how they traced the DNC hackback to individual Russians. Multiple names listed, identified as Russian citizens working for Russian intel.
Any arrests?
Hackers themselves remain safe in Russia, protected. No arrests followed. But their identities are known. Much of the world is off limits. It was a clear line in the sand. These operatives crossed boundaries.
Scaramouche.
One name stood out to German investigators. One man in the U.S. indictment believed to use the alias Scaramouche, same alias from the Viasat.exe program in the Bundestag hack.
They got him.
Real name finally confirmed: Dmitry Bodin, the man who broke into Merkel's computer. Today, 32 years old. Investigators pieced together a lot. Photos, young face, dark blonde hair, from Kursk, married, has a daughter, lives near Moscow.
What else?
Listens to music while working Russian rock, techno. Forensic analysis suggests he even streams football matches while hacking. Big Cristiano Ronaldo fan, apparently. An average guy, almost.
It, in many ways, seems like it. Yet, a government hacker serving a regime actively targeting Western democracies. May 2020, German federal prosecutor formally filed charges against Bodin, too.
And Putin's reaction to all this?
After the first indictments in 2018, Putin did an NBC interview, confronted directly about the interference. 13 Russians indicted. Why would you allow an attack like this? Putin famously responded with chilling indifference. I don't care. I couldn't care less.
Wow.
The reality is, while some operatives are identified, operations exposed. Putin's bears weren't captured. Their operations weren't dismantled. This isn't a story with a clean, satisfying ending. Not at all.
So operatives unmasked, methods exposed, the world watches, learns. But the bears kept evolving. Let's turn now to the most recent devastating use of these cyber capabilities. The full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. A conflict that turned the nation into Russia's relentless, real-world cyber test battlefield. A chilling preview, maybe, of future conflicts?
Yeah, the Ukraine situation really brought it all together.
February 24th, 2022. Cold, pre-dawn Moscow. Day barely begun, but Unit 74455 is at work. A quiet man heads to his desk early, takes the metro at Polyansk Station. Familiar 10-minute walk through the cold, lights a cigarette before entering the imposing building.
The GRU aquarium.
Exactly. Part of Unit 74455, better known abroad as Sandworm or Voodoo Bear. At his desk, pulls up a chair. Time to go to work. Execute. He and his colleagues spent months meticulously preparing for this exact moment. Now just a few final clicks, the culmination of countless hours of recon, infiltration.
Meanwhile, in Texas.
Thousands of miles away, Austin, Texas. Still February 23rd evening. Senior exec at Viasat, leading satellite internet provider, dependable tech, crucial for remote areas, military comms settling into his evening. Suddenly, devices light up, automated urgent warnings from Ukraine.
That's happening.
2 Viasat ground stations, crucial hubs routing internet from satellites, under sustained, overwhelming attack. Flooded with malicious data packets, satellite internet needs these ground stations. If they crash, nothing gets through. Now they're totally overwhelmed, overloaded, can't deliver connectivity.
A denial of service attack.
But the Voodoo Bear operative in Moscow wasn't finished. These DOS attacks, while disruptive, can sometimes be fought off. This one kept escalating. Terrifying precision.
How so?
Internet providers usually have remote access to customer modems for updates, troubleshooting. That access should be highly secure. Viasat's critically wasn't secure enough. Voodoo Bear had already infiltrated Viasat's network months earlier, patiently establishing a deep foothold, lying in wait.
Exactly. At the precise moment of the invasion, they sent a devastating command to the modems. Not just disrupt traffic, but force them to download malicious code that permanently wiped essential login credentials stored on the devices.
Bricking the modems.
Permanently. Without credentials, modems can't authenticate, can't connect, go offline. Useless. Attacks spread with horrifying speed, efficiency. Viasat execs stared at his screen. 30,000 modems across Europe now just e-waste, permanently bricked.
The ripple effects.
Huge. Germany. 5,800 wind turbines, relying on Viasat for remote control, abruptly offline. Small village in Sweden, internet vanishes. Ukraine, Viasat's biggest customer. The military faces unprecedented communication failures across vital army installations.
Right as the invasion starts.
Precisely as reports flood in, Russian troops, armored vehicles pouring across the border. Full-scale invasion launched. Ukraine hit from 3 directions. Missiles, ground assault, synchronized cyber attacks. Commands shouted, but terrifying thought spreads. What if comms go down entirely? Dashboards fail. Surveillance feeds black.
Pure chaos.
The Viasat attack. Highly effective, strategically executed cyberstrike, perfectly timed with the physical invasion, designed to cripple command and control at the most crucial moment.
But for Ukraine, this wasn't new, was it?
Not at all. Not an isolated incident. Ukraine's been in Russia's cyber crosshairs for years. Not just since 2022, but back to 2014, right after Crimea annexation. That year, Russia first tried hacking Ukraine's elections, clear precursor to 2016 in the U.S.
And the power grid attacks.
2015, again 2016. Voodoo Bear famously took down parts of Ukraine's power grid, plunged regions into darkness for hours. Real-world impact. 2022, eve of invasion, they tried crippling the power grid again this time. Ukraine, bolstered by experience, international help, largely fended it off.
So Ukraine is a testing ground.
A clear, consistent pattern. Russia often uses Ukraine as a proving ground, a testing range. Refining tactics, election interference, critical infrastructure disruption, disinformation campaigns, testing them in Ukraine before deploying elsewhere against other Western nations. That's why it's sometimes called Russia's cyber test battlefield.
And the war now.
Raging for over 3 years. All of Putin's bears involved, relentlessly. Attacking government systems, major companies, spying, orchestrating sophisticated leaks, continuously fueling disinformation to demoralize, divide.
How is Ukraine holding up?
Remarkably, despite the relentless onslaught, Ukraine seems to be defending itself formidably, not just on the ground, but in cyberspace too. And they're not alone.
Getting help.
Supported by several leading Western cybersecurity firms, providing critical intel sharing, defensive strategies, incident response, helping build more resilient digital infrastructure. Ukraine's become a living laboratory for cyber defense against a persistent, top-tier adversary.
So we bring you back to the present. Critical reminder. The threat from Putin's bears isn't just ongoing, it's constantly evolving. They're still out there, dangerous, determined as ever, pushing the boundaries of cyber warfare.
And new information keeps emerging.
We recently learned about astonishing leaked internal documents from a Russian company, NTC Vulcan. Operates in shadows, supplies Russian intel and military with cyber weapons, espionage tools, sabotage, info warfare.
What do the documents show?
Chilling stuff. Reveals the future trajectory. Among other things, Russia seemed to have been meticulously mapping out what to do once a territory is conquered. How to bend its digital infrastructure, break its systems, remake them for Russian control.
Disturbing.
Perhaps most disturbing. Reveals experiments in controlling foreign critical infrastructure, specifically testing if they can slow down trains in other countries.
And if you can slow them down?
You can speed them up or derail them. The implications for national security are profound.
Knowledge is most valuable when understood and applied, right? One thing is certain. We haven't heard the last of the bears. Not by a long shot.
What can we do?
In the years ahead, as these digital conflicts intensify, evolve, we'll have to stay incredibly alert. Learn to spot their traps, tricks, carefully laid bait, whether it's a convincing fish, a seemingly minor glitch, or even physical presence near a target. Because once they're inside our systems, critical infrastructure, the fabric of democracy, it rarely ends well.
So vigilance is key.
Critical thinking, healthy skepticism of information, robust digital hygiene, essential in a world of info overload, especially against sophisticated, persistent, state-backed threats.
We've taken you deep into the clandestine world of Putin's bears today. Unmasked these specialized Russian intel units, from Fancy Bear's elegant infiltration to Voodoo Bear's destructive dark arts.
We've seen their fingerprints on the German Bundestag.
Witnessed their strategic chaos in the 2016 U.S. election.
Heard about their surprising physical ops right outside the OPCW in the Netherlands.
And explored how Ukraine became their brutal, enduring cyber test battlefield. This deep dive has given you a comprehensive look at this unseen but utterly crucial battleground. Revealed the chilling sophistication, relentless persistence, strategic use of cyber ops by Russian intelligence for geopolitical goals. So here's a provocative thought for you to ponder as you go about your day, navigating our increasingly digital world. If foreign powers can silently infiltrate our critical infrastructure, overtly influence elections, wage psychological warfare from the shadows, effectively eroding trust from within. What does this truly mean for the resilience of our democracies? And how do we, as informed citizens, defend against this invisible threat in the years to come?